Uh, I'm all scruffed up, man.
Man,
And
I can't wait till I grow a little something, man.
be careful though. It's gonna be gray when it's coming out, and it's not gonna be fun. Like, dude, I'm telling you, it's gonna
Hmm.
be funny.
Yeah,
But yeah, man. So, David, I appreciate you coming on today. I really am excited to talk to you because just knowing who you are and how you roll, it's gonna be a good time, 100%. So, just so everybody knows, my friend Dave Brody here, 23 years in the Navy. He is a member of the Chiefs Mess. He is a leader in the Navy. He's one of those guys that makes the fleet move forward, as we say. He goes from the top and the bottom to train and develop, and he's just an exciting person to be around. Originally from Clio, South Carolina, or Silo. How do I say that?
Clio.
Clio, South
Yeah,
Carolina. Yeah.
Clio,
So
South
there's
Carolina. Yep.
multiple combat tours in the Navy, developing sailors. David's just he's a veteran active duty member that just he cares. He puts it all on his shoulder and makes sure that he helps people out. And I'm excited to talk about the next chapter for you right now. I've seen a lot of stuff in there about your next adventure, and so that's really going to be exciting. I'm excited to learn about that. And so, without further ado, David, let's just open it up, man. Tell anybody that is listening today a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into talking a lot of trash. How about that?
Got it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, like Matt said before, and before I start, I got to thank you as well for allowing me to come on. I'm just a small town guy from Clio, South Carolina, man. Joined the Navy a long time ago. And, I've always wanted to serve. I used to stand in my neighborhood and play baseball, and we would see the planes fly over. So when, the older I got, the more I saw them, I was like, oh man, that looked like it's cool, whatever. So when I was in high school, the recruiter came and I was talking about airplanes, and my recruiter's like, nah, if you want aviation, you got to go to Navy on the Navy side. So they kind of got me to thinking, hey, look, this is the way to go. Forget the Air Force, forget this. If you want to really jump into some fun stuff, join the Navy, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So what did the recruiter tell you? Let me guess. You know, the Navy has more planes than the Air Force anyway. Why would you join the Air Force?
Hey man, you sound like a true recruiter, right?
Well, I kind of was one of those for a long time.
I know, absolutely. I know. I'm picking on you, but
Yeah,
yeah, man.
no. Yeah,
Yep.
that's good, man. Well, I tell you what, if you would have gone any other route, um, there's a lot of people that have learned from you and just taken so much from what you offer and give and how you put everything out there to help people. You've always been that way.
Oh
And
yeah,
so, I mean, other services would have reaped the benefits, but there's a lot of people in the Navy that would have missed out 100%. So it's a good thing the recruiter talked you into we have more planes than they do.
I know. Absolutely, absolutely. I've really enjoyed this ride over the years. Working with some of the greatest sailors that the Navy can offer. I've really had a good time. I've had some good times, some bad times, but all in all, we all came back to family, and I think that has been the biggest thing for me. And I think that's why I really had a passion to continue what I'm doing in the Navy out in the civilian world because I'm helping people.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into that. So, uh, when I first saw your information, I saw it on social media, and I immediately was like, I really need to talk to Dave. I mean, I have to like bring you on so that whatever platform we have here and however many people it can be reached and seen, I really want people one to know what you're going to be getting into, but
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing I want people to kind of understand is if they work with you in doing your next venture that you're going to talk about in a minute, you're not just getting someone that wishes that they could mentor and develop you. You're not getting somebody that has a dream about helping people. You're not getting someone that thinks they can do it, right? You're getting someone from my experience and the time I got to serve with you and just seeing you after we kind of parted ways going to other parts of the Navy. You're getting someone that knows what they're doing, someone that's passionate about doing it, someone who has a proven track record to develop people and help them better themselves. You're getting way more than you even know you're signing up for when they work with you. So.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, brother. I do. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, so it's called Brody Consulting, right? So let's talk
Yes.
about that a little bit. What's the idea behind it? I know where it came from, but you can tell everybody, where it came from,
Well, of course, Brody is my last name, and I've always said that I'm going to build a legacy off of my grandfather and father's name, and keep this thing going. And when I was sitting home one night, and I was like, man, what can I do to help, or what can I do outside of the Navy that would be beneficial? And I was running into great master chiefs like yourself, the Jeff Barlows in the world, the Emil Barretts, all of those guys. And when they got out, that's all they did. They consulted and helped people. So I wanted to do the same thing. And of course, I went under the belt of some of those guys, and I was like the apprentice, for about a year. And they told me, they're like, hey, you need to remember that you have to mix and mingle, but you also have to divide the Navy lingo with the civilian lingo. And I think that
Mhm.
was one of the biggest lessons I ever learned. And then I learned that language, and I understood that language, and that's where it kind of took off. So I just said, hey, Brody Consulting is going to be my name. I got a vision. I'm going to reach these many people. I'm going to be in households. I'm going to be in businesses. I'm going to be able to go into a corporation one day with a microphone plugged in my ear, speaking to thousands of employees. And I'm going to go into an auditorium one day and speaking to 1,000 of entrepreneurs. Like, I just had this vision to reach and help and build people. So that's really where it came from. I have coaches also that teach me a lot, because we have to constantly train. We have to constantly train in the consulting world and the coaching world. And I really train and practice my craft every single day. And, and now it's just like a business that is not just growing, but it's expanding to, households, homes, communities, public speaking, doing things that everyone has a chance to ask questions. They have a chance to process things, and they also have a chance to transform. So that's really what we're about. We do small business development, leadership development, and transformational life coaching. And I think that that is my niche. That's what I love to do, and I know that it's going to be great.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And the reason I say that, like I said in the intro to bring it in, like 100%, I know that you're going to deliver. But in everything you just told me, you know what I heard?
What's that, brother?
Morning quarters, CDBs,
Yeah,
eval debriefs,
yeah.
uh, CPO 365 phase two initiation, whatever you want to call it, to get into the mess where you train and develop leaders. Like, man, if anybody has the experience to do it, like you're there, like you're just going to continue to do the things. And then the reality is this: the platform that you still have for a little bit of time to develop and hone that, and you get the scenarios you're going to run into every day. And the
Every day.
difference, I think, in what I see in the civilian world, right? Because I've been there for a little bit, and I did real estate and I do some other things. And they always want you to have a coach, right? They always want you to hire somebody to coach you and teach you and get you moving. The recruiter in me is like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't need a coach. I already know what I got to do. I don't, and in
Right.
my mind, it was always, I don't need someone to tell me to make a phone call. I know I got to do that, right? I know I got to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I want you to give me the secret. And then I found out really quick the secret is just grind, keep your head down and do it. And
Gotcha.
the reason that becomes important is because when you get into the civilian world, there's a lot of people that say that they're going to help you and develop you, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, you'll see reviews and you see all the things around about what they do, and I've worked with a lot of people since I got out that I don't know, man. That they were great, but in my mind, because of what I did in the Navy and what we did in the Navy and all the things we did together and the leadership development that you get and the amount of interaction you have between the people above you and the people below you, and you have to be that middle ground. I haven't found anybody that I can look at and go, okay, I can see where this guy's been through all of this stuff he's telling me to do. I
Hmm.
can see where this person has had to struggle and then come out of it on top. I can see, I just haven't found anybody like us, like Chiefs that went through all of that. They
Hmm.
they they worked so hard for themselves to get to a certain point in their life or their career, where for 6 weeks you realize really quick that you don't matter because nothing that you did really got you there. Like that was the biggest eye opener for me when one, I became a chief, and two, as I progressed and like you said, talked with, those very, very seasoned and salty master chiefs and
Oh
senior
yeah.
chiefs, guys like Brian Zawadniak, guys like Tom Schnapp, you know, those guys are out there and giving you all that knowledge, and you realize real quick that they figured it out, they pass it down, and we move forward. And so I think the thing that's going to make you the most successful, it's not about you. It's never going to be about you. And I think that alone, it just doesn't really exist a lot when you get outside of where we're used to being. Like it's a different world out there, but when someone can present themselves as someone that like truly cares for a reason, sky's the limit, you
You're
know?
right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're living in Texas right now,
Yeah.
right?
I'm here
The
based in
great
Austin,
state of
Texas.
Texas.
Great state of Texas. Great state.
So when you're all said and done, is the plan to stay in Texas? Are you moving back to South Carolina? Like, I'm sure you're gonna have frequent flyer miles no matter what you do, but
Yeah. Well, my plan here when I got stationed back here the last time was to stay here in Texas. It's my first duty station, and I've been here for on numerous times and trips and all this good stuff. I'm like, man, I gotta live here. Like this is where I gotta plant the flag at. This is where I want to be. So I'm here in
yeah,
Arlington, Texas, right in the middle between Fort Worth and Dallas. My office is actually across. It's about 3 or 4 minutes away from the AT&T and Globe Life and all that good stuff. So I'm right here in the heart of Arlington, and I love it. This is my area. Um, I'm looking to plant some great seeds here in the great state of Texas and make this thing happen. I don't plan on leaving and going anywhere else. I had a few offers to come back to Florida, and I was like, no, I think I'm gonna go ahead and stick it here in Texas and make it work.
nice. Yeah, yeah. So that's good stuff, man. So we met in New Orleans in the Big Easy,
Big
in
easy.
the sportsman's paradise of
Yes.
Louisiana. So tell me about when we first met, we actually first met during like Chiefs season, right?
Yeah, we did.
And
Yeah, we
it
did.
it was super interesting. You had a whole like, and that was my, again, like this all goes into what it kind of feeds into what you're doing for the future, right? Is when I was down there, I'd for so long, I was a recruiter. I was the guy that everybody walked up to and they were always mad, right? They were
Mhm.
like, "Ah, you're recruiters, right?" And I used to just tell everybody, I'm like, "Well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here, man.
Mhm.
Like we did
Absolutely.
something right?"
Yeah.
But there was always that divide, and I think the thing that I remember the most about being in New Orleans as a recruiter, my second tour in New Orleans, was the fact that everybody in that area on that base, they could all work together all the time. Like
Mhm.
uh there was no job, there was no command, there was no this is what we do, this is what you do. It was just a whole bunch of people that got things done. And again, when I remember coming out to the first few events we had to go to, and there was always a couple of people standing in the front and getting stuff done, and the most noticeable person always in the front, even though there wasn't like a lot of I don't know, I guess you would say committee lead, in that was you. You were always the one in the front talking to everybody, asking them how they were. This is what I remember. How are you doing? What can I do to help you? How are things with your family? Like it was always a how are you? And I immediately was like, that's the guy I want to meet, because he's not walking around going, I'm the best. And you know what I mean? You could
Mhm.
just tell and see that it was truly a lead into I want to develop a friendship with that person, right? I don't
Yes.
just want to talk to you to say hi, right? And so that's one of the first memories I have, and it was great. And then going through and all the crazy stuff that we did over there was it was amazing. And then that helped me go on from
Mhm.
New Orleans, and now I'm here. I'm obviously in this great state of Texas too.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I'm repping for my son. Hopefully he gets in. He's trying to. We're waiting it out. He
Oh yeah,
graduates
yeah,
this
man.
year. We're hoping he gets to A&M. That's where he wants to go. So
Nice.
I decided the same. Stay in Texas. Texas is a great place to settle down. But I think that time we met in New Orleans, that time was like that was the time that helped me develop even further than where I was at. Right, I became a better sailor, leader, chief, all that stuff. I became kind of who I am today, understanding even more so it's not about me. Right,
Mhm.
just good times, man.
Oh yeah, it was. And going through those times, when we looked at our commands and we looked at your command and Marfo Reds and all the other commands around. That was my only thing. Even when I became the president of the CPO, I just wanted to unify everybody. Like
Hmm.
how can we can be one massive like juggernaut. We have our little rivalries here and there, but there was nothing more powerful than when we all came together, especially to make chiefs, develop chiefs. Um,
Yep.
like it was like magic, man. It was just like magic. To seeing it from start to finish, it was insane.
Yeah, I
So,
think that there was those little pockets, right? But you know how I equated being in that time? I
mm,
felt like we were colleges,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we're the Aggies, you guys are the Longhorns, those are the Tigers, like LSU and all that. Like
right,
it was like this is my college team. This is my
hmm,
alma mater. Like
yeah,
we're the best and whatever. Like I'll be your friend, but if you're not in this alma mater, you know what I mean? It felt like more of an atmosphere of that versus we're better and not better and
right,
that time in it spoiled me, dude. It
hmm,
spoiled me because
oh
I
yeah,
came to Houston after, and the first year I was in Houston, the CMC was like, "Ah, the reserve center wants us to do the season together, right?"
mm,
I was like, "That's awesome. This is going to be a good time, right?" I was like, "This is going to be great," because New Orleans spoiled me 100%. And then we did it, and I was like, "Oh
oh man,
man." I was like, you know what? We tried. That's
yeah,
what I said. We tried. There's no way you can recreate that. Now, I think the only place that could compare is where you're at right now, up
oh
in
yeah,
Fort
it's
Worth.
the same, man.
They kind of started the whole deal, man.
Yep,
They're
it's
amazing up there. That's
yeah,
where I went through.
mm-hmm, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same. It's definitely the same. Like we all. It's kind of like it's like you got one and you got the other, and we line up because everybody kind of flip flops. It's like one big reunion every year. Like, hey man, you remember we was in New Orleans? Or hey, you remember we was in Jacksonville? And everybody come together, and it's just from based off of my experience. Like the season here is crazy, but I'm telling you, I don't think that I would rather like if I can go through New Orleans every year, just like the final parts, the way we spread everything out.
Yep.
If I can do that, and if we had like the woods, like if we had like the landscape to do it, like how we did it in New Orleans, I,
Yep.
I think it'd be 40 times greater even here. And this crazy here is nuts. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, it is like again. I told you I went through there,
Hmm.
and so
The
that
old
was kind
Thunderdome,
of my.
that Thunderdome.
Oh man, it was crazy because
Yeah.
that was back in the time in recruiting where everything that mattered was being a recruiter and nothing else mattered, right? Like you had
Right.
to go in and grind. And I was young, I'd only been in the Navy for 9 years, and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta please everybody, right? That's what
Mm,
you think all the time. We'd show up to PT over there on the JRB, and here
yeah.
they come.
Uh,
All the guys from the base are like, oh, here's these recruiters. And the biggest thing that I always took away from that. And what I tried to change as I moved on to my other recruiting districts, and
mm,
which is why I loved finally getting back to New Orleans, is I always noticed the recruiters would never show up to PT. They're not there. But the
mm,
fleet chiefs, like they would call themselves the real ones, the guys that were from the fleet that were coming to recruiting that were going back to the fleet,
mm,
I was like, they never missed anything,
yeah.
and they still went to work and they
Yeah.
still
Oh, yeah.
got their job done and they still did they were still a sponsor, or they were still a chair. I used to see the same people all the time, and I used to be like, man, this is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
like where they're at. And that's where you learn really fast priorities. What's the priority?
Yep.
And
You're right.
then I learned really fast as well that like the work will be there tomorrow. It's okay, but if you have something to take care of today, you got to do it. And so I just remember even more so, my wife and I talk about it sometimes, because when you're going through that time, I remember it was like telling my wife, I got to watch all these movies. She's like, why? I just got to watch them. Like,
Yeah.
I got to figure it out. And then you show up and you realize the movies didn't matter. They didn't give a shit about the movies. And I was like,
No.
that's all I did. So I had nothing else. And then it was boom, you just got hammered. And, the other part of that is like the next year when you're sitting in the room and you hear everybody talking and you just go,
Light bulbs going
these,
off.
these effing dudes knew that's exactly what, like, how did they know that we were going to do that? And then you realize there's a whole bunch of people like, I would have done the same thing when I was going through. And it's like,
Yep. Light bulbs going off.
yeah. So now it's like, okay, all you're doing is putting them into that position that you were in and you knew how you would handle it. And then the other part too is like, if you want to keep a secret on how things work, join the Navy and go through chief season.
Yep.
Because even though everybody else knows what's going on,
They
when
don't.
you're going through, you have no idea. Like they keep the best secrets. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And after you're done, you look at these guys like, why didn't you tell me? And they were like, well, where would the fun be in that? It
It
was
won't
fun
be.
watching
It
you
won't be
guys like
fun, right?
struggle, and you see it when
Yeah.
you and I went through after. You see the light bulb. When
Yep.
you see the light bulb, you're like, oh, there we go. It's there, right? Like it's coming. It's
Yeah.
going to be good. And then
Mhm.
it's again too, man. Drop the ego that doesn't matter. Take the chip off your shoulder. You got to that's the big thing. Humble yourself. Like
That's it.
understand that you're a cog in the wheel, and
Mhm.
you got to do your part, no matter how big or small, too. Right?
Yeah.
It's my job to take out the trash, and that's what I got to do. That's my contribution, and it's not any different than the guy that's in a sense spending all the money. Right? They're equal. Like if we don't do what we got to do, it doesn't run. And so then you get out, and you go to a lot of these organizations, and you try to join clubs or networking groups, and they try to, they run through the Roberts Rule of Order, and they try to do meetings and bring it in, and you just walk in like disappointed, man. I'm
Mhm.
like, ah,
Yeah. And Matt, the
I need a
biggest
chief
thing
mess.
I know, man. The biggest thing is servitude, man.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing, man. Servitude, man.
Yeah.
If you can get that concept down pat, if you can get that concept down pat, there's nothing that you won't miss from that point on. You just don't know it, It's just
Yeah. It
gonna be able.
it's it, again, and you still see people that don't get that concept right,
Yep.
and they struggle a little bit. And again, it's just really the servitude is all about humbling yourself and understanding that, like, yeah, you're important, right? You're important. But the biggest thing that was impressed, because me, I like to go the hard route for everything. That's what I did. So
Mm.
when I went through Chief Season, I chose a bosun mate as my sponsor,
Oh,
Ted Morales, the one and only.
no, man.
And then my co sponsor was a damage controlman,
Ooh.
Fred Williams. Man, I had I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna get some fleet guys to be. I didn't realize, man, I picked the two wrong people then
Yeah.
to do it because I was like, these guys are on me all the time, right? Like they were pushing, and then later on, I'm like, okay, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I did choose right,
There you did.
uh, but it's like when you drop down and get rid of all of that. uh, so I tell everybody, like, you have to, when you talk to young sailors that are there, and you get those one-on-one mentoring sessions with them when they're trying to figure it out, they don't know what's going on. They don't know if left is still left or red or green, or what are we doing? Letting them know, like, listen, the only thing I'm going to tell you right now, the best advice I can give you is it's not about you.
Yep.
It's all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
If you approach it like that, it'll take care. And they were always like, huh? But I gotta. I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah.
you'll get it one day.
Your
You'll
I
listen.
word. Yeah, because
Yeah.
man, what's funny, and I'm gonna tell you two quick funny stories, right? So I couldn't do a push up. Like I could do 1,000 push-ups, but when I went through the season, my form was never right. It was just like I'm like, what is wrong with me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a year after I in my first year as a chief, I was running on the base in Jacksonville, and we had a task during our season to find the submarine on the base, to find the submarine on NAS Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
So I never got that signed off on the PQS. So one day I'm running down by the skipper's house, right? And I stopped to tie my shoe because my shoelace came loose. So I looked up and I looked at the bush is, that big bush in front of his house. I don't know if you've been on
Yeah.
NAS Jacks.
Yeah, I've been there.
It was cut in the shape of a submarine. So I looked and I said, "No way." I said, you know. When I got back to the squadron, right? I'm sitting there. I was like, "Yo, I found a submarine," and everybody messaged like, "Duh, it took you that long to figure that out." And everybody knew about it except for me. And the whole time, I had no idea that that damn submarine was a tree. And even after the fact, I never found out until I was running one morning and I stopped because at the time I see what I looked, and that
No
light bulb
pressure,
just went
man.
off. And I sat on the couch for about 10 minutes, and that reflection time, that and I can vividly see myself. I'm sitting here. We had the blueberries at the time before we switched over, and I was just like, it is amazing what fresh air would do to the brain, man. It is
Yep.
amazing what fresh air would do to the brain. And when I realized that even though I didn't complete that tasker, I realized that I completed a broken thought process. Like, man, I wonder why I never, found it, or why I never got that, or why I wasn't talking to people who would have got me in that right direction. I don't think I was listening, if it makes sense.
Or the most common mistake people make, you didn't use your resources and ask for
Yeah,
help.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't listening.
Afraid. Once you get to that point, and like it's crazy, you see it every year.
Yeah,
Selected, immediately a kindergartner.
yeah, yeah.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Won't ask a question, won't ask for help, scared of everything, and it will be in the like, what is wrong with these? And then people will walk up and go, man, they just can't get nothing. And I'm like, well, if
Yeah.
they would just ask a question and be like, look, we've been trying, it's amazing. But here's the other thing, no pressure, right?
Mhm.
Just running around, minding your business. But here's the thing, is that the only thing you didn't get signed off?
Nah, it was it was tough stuff I didn't get, but that
Yeah.
was a big one.
So
Yeah, that was a big one.
that one probably sticks out because you were on an air station, right?
Yeah,
And then you look up and go, you've got, right? Like I would have ran in and been like, you need to sign this right now. I
yeah.
know it's after the fact, but let's backdate
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
it.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Even now when I'm sitting with a client, and I see a person go from that first month we start. By the time I get into that third month of my package, I see the transformation. Even going back and when because I take notes from my first initial appointment all the way through, and you can see that person transform, and you can see the light bulb start to go off, and you can see them make sense of something that they had no clue about 2 months ago. So
hmm
it all feeds back to, just like you said, man, you're using your resources, asking the right questions. So,
Absolutely. That was
mhm,
the thing I never did, was ask the right questions. I
got to.
probably should have done that a little bit.
You got to ask the
Matter
right.
of fact, when you break it all down, right? If you think about things in perspective of how we work in the world, right?
Oh yeah,
I look at it every day, man. I
yeah.
look at it every day.
Hmm.
And I still read in the book every day. And one thing that I did at my retirement is I realized really quick, right? That like so much was put on us on what goes in there,
Hmm.
right? But maybe I'm wrong in it, and maybe some people would get mad at it, but I realized and felt knowledge goes in there, right?
Yeah.
So when I went to my retirement, I put the book up at the front, kind of like you would put the book for a wedding or unfortunately a funeral, and where you go up and you write something to the people to let them know you were there, or give them something to remember, right? Like the day.
Right.
So I put my book up at the front. I put a pin on it, and I was like, just find a page and write. I don't care who it is. I don't care, whatever. Like if you want to write something in there for me to remember, by all means do it. And then the other part is there were so many people that read through there and saw some of the things that people wrote, because at the end of the day, nothing in there is something someone can't read. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's all motivational. It's all telling you the same message, right?
Hmm.
Like to keep your head down and keep moving forward. And people are like, man, I can't believe people like wrote that to you. And I was like, listen, that's just what we do. It is what we do. We push each other to be great. And if you
Hmm.
don't do that, it doesn't help. And I got like a couple of my relatives. I come from a big military family. One of my uncles, as a matter of fact, was in the army for a couple of years, and my grandfather was a senior chief in the Navy, and then my uncle is a master chief. Right, was
Mhm.
a master chief, retired. And so my uncle, I was like, "Did you write in the book?" He goes, "I ain't touching that book." I was like, "You can write." He goes, "Absolutely not. My daddy ain't coming out of the grave to get me." Because he was in the army, and you know what I mean.
Right.
And I was like, "It's okay," but he wouldn't touch. He's like, "Mm-mm, my
Yeah.
daddy ain't coming to get me." I just
Yeah.
thought it was funny. I was
Yeah.
like, "What?"
You get some people that wouldn't touch it. You get some people that wouldn't.
But I do appreciate the people that did write in it, and what it's amazing to see is to be able to read in there the people that weren't in, people that are close friends and close family.
Mm,
Thank you for your service, or just things like here in Katy. I coach lacrosse for a youth program, and some of those parents were really good friends with they came. Like, thanks for what you did for our son, and it's like helping him grow and mature, right? And I'm like, even for this kid that plays this sport, I was doing the same thing I'm doing for that junior sailor, that junior officer, right? Helping them grow and get better. It's the same message no matter who wrote it. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's really good to see that. And I know some people are like, I can't believe you did that, but I was like, "Hey, whose book is it? Y'all remember this thing, don't you? We went through this already."
Oh yeah. It was. You do what you want to do with it.
And so even now, it's still like just going around. Like if I go to like chief events, or uh, you know the Houston guys will do a lot of stuff at the local VFW. Even now, if I'm around them and I've met somebody that's impactful, I try to meet up with them again and have them write in
Yeah.
the book.
You get a charge from
It
huh?
Yeah, I think that the other thing that I kind of like jumped onto is like it doesn't stop after that time,
Mm,
right? I learned a little from Brian Zawodniak, as a matter of fact, is like, you can get another one in there. Like, just because you're done doesn't mean you're done.
mm,
So like when I would meet people in that were chiefs and above, or even officers that were former chiefs, right? Like, hey, like, I want you to write something in here, especially if they made a big impact to what you're doing. And just seeing how people reacted to that, it was always great to see people that you help develop and train when you
mm-hmm.
ask them to do something like that, and then they just the level of gratitude is there. But I always used to be like, why are they so grateful to me for writing in a book? Like, I'm trying to, like, I want to be grateful to you, right? I want to remember the things that you've taught me.
Mm,
And it's just again, after leaving the military, like, you don't get that a lot anymore. It's hard to find that same group of people. Like, there is something to
mm-hmm.
being in and being around the guys and dealing with problems. I miss dealing with problems. Is that crazy to say? I miss dealing with problems sometimes because you were helping people,
Yeah.
because those problems, in a sense, were real problems. Like
Mm-hmm.
the problems I see out here now, man, they're not, and some of them are real, but there's a lot of problems that aren't real, like
Yeah. You're right.
first world problems. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm not going to get the new whatever. iPhone is not available in the Apple store. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And I'm like, that's what you're freaking out about? You don't
Yeah.
get a
That's
new
not.
iPhone?
Yeah. That's not a problem.
Yeah. Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's good. It's good. Have a
Right.
good time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about after New Orleans. What kind of things did you get to go do? What were the duty stations after? Like, what kind of stuff did you platform up to?
Well, right after that, I left and came to the FRC in Fort Worth, and I've got a chance to work with those guys. It's an integrated command, Navy and Marines.
Okay.
Now, of course, we support the F-18, the C-130, and various squadrons throughout the fleet. And after that tour, I ended up staying here to for my last one, and now I'm at the FRC Reserve Midwest, the wing for all the FRCs, and we are the basic command over here, New Orleans, Jersey, and DC.
Okay.
So I travel a lot to go out to those sites, and we do,
So let me guess. You guys got like an important inspection in New Orleans in the next week or so, right?
Nah, we had that last October, and you know what's so crazy?
It's Mardi Gras, man. You got to go.
I know, man. I know. I said, man, we need to start scheduling our visits during the good times of the year. I was talking to
They
my
were like, mm-mm,
yeah, it's like
we
no,
want you to work.
nah, we good. So yeah,
That's awesome.
those are the spots that we take care of and support. And I mean, we have some great chiefs out there at those sites too. So whenever we do travel out, you know how it is. It's open arms. They treat us. They treat us great. So
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, I just again, I mean, and I was in Fort Worth for a while, and that's where I started my journey as a chief in the Navy, and I'll be forever grateful for everything that they did for me. I remember sleeping at the table after penning, and my family going, "Just go get in the car."
yeah.
Right? I'm eating with everybody in my family, and I'm sitting at the table like, this.
Hmm.
Like I couldn't, but I was like, I didn't want to sleep, and then going to New Orleans though, you know, Thirsty Thursday,
Yeah.
Tuesday nights just to come in there and hang out. On the weekends, let's watch football. On the weekends, let's get the fight. Like everybody was always doing something there.
Yeah.
And when you walked in the door there was no ego. It was all family, man.
Yeah.
100%. And I just remember, being a new person, I'd walk in the door, brand new. And, the first two or three times you go in there, a lot of people don't know you. uh, I never felt like people didn't want to know who I was. Everybody would walk up and be like, "Hey, how's it going? Where are you at?" I would tell them where I worked, and they give me shit for a minute, but I'd give them shit right back, like, "You're welcome,"
Right. Right.
and it was always that atmosphere, man. And there's a grip of people that we worked with in New Orleans that I still kind of like. I follow them on social media, and I can see them. And there's so many master chiefs, people that are now officers, people that have gotten out of the Navy and doing big things, like just making an impact in the world all over the place. And it is
Hmm.
so. It's just that deal, like professionally, when I was in Miami as a recruiter, it was kind of the same thing. The whole crew of people I worked with in Miami, just to give you a picture, one of those people is now the national chief recruiter for Navy recruiting.
Oh wow.
Another guy just retired as an ACR. There's a couple of other people that were region chief recruiters and district, like they're running recruiting right now. And it's that group of people. It just, the talent level
Hmm.
was out of this world, and it
It's
was
huge.
just like being in New Orleans.
Yep. Big time. Big
Yeah.
time. And I tell you, the that's a big community. I mean, I didn't realize how big the community was until I went to Millington on this last trip. I was like, holy smokes! I was like, my goodness, yeah, you guys are deep, man.
Well, that's where the brains of the operation are, dude.
Yeah, I was like, wow, because of course, I went down to sit the selection board, and I was just looking around. I'm just like, man, like, whew, this is a lot.
Just imagine going through a season up there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be thousands of Chiefs up there.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is kind of like how it is in Jax. Same way,
Hmm.
Jax. It was.
Well, I went through when I was in Miami. Our CMC was used to be in Jacksonville, so
Mhm.
we actually, from Miami, went up to Jacksonville for a final night. Like we went up there for final night
Oh,
and
nice,
kind of
nice.
combined in. And dude, Jacksonville's like no other two, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was put together, but like there was a ton of. But the thing that I noticed in Jacksonville is Jacksonville did a really good job at, if you want to be involved as a chief, you're going to be involved. And
Hmm.
if you want to sit in the back and watch, they're not gonna try to force you to do something you're not looking to do.
Yeah, they're
But
not.
if you came up and you wanted to be involved, they'd be like, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. And everybody, and again, I missed this in the Navy. Nobody knew who we were. All they knew is I had an anchor on my hat or on my collar, and they knew I was a chief, and that's all they needed to know.
That's
They're
it.
like, good to go, let's go do it here. And it was never a where are you from? It was 100% like, let's go get it.
Hmm.
Everywhere we went in the Navy was like that. And, you're told all the time going through the season, like, oh, you've now joined the biggest fraternity in the world and all these things. And you're like, yeah, whatever, I made it, right? But when you go around places and people find out you're a chief, and I do a lot with the VFW now,
Right.
See these guys in the VFW that they'll have their anchor on their shirt, or even guys that were E4s, E5s, E6s in the Navy, petty officers, they'll walk around, and as soon as they see yours, they walk up and, like, I mean, a chief from the Vietnam era walks up to talk to you like you've known him your entire life.
Oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
then you see what's funny in the VFW, you see those guys that were third, second class petty officers, they're walking down, they see you have a senior chief thing on, they don't know who you are in the VFW.
Mhm.
It's it's the P-way shuffle. And they kind of try to get by fast, right? Because they don't want to talk to the chief.
Right.
And it's like, man, like even these old timers still, right? Like they long for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's 100% true. No matter where I go, if I meet someone that's a chief, like, oh, it's gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be a good time.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, hundred
Yeah.
percent.
I gotta get down there and visit you, man. I gotta, you come down here and visit
Yeah,
me too,
bro.
man. We need to, we need
Well,
to
let's
get
see. I got a kid going to college in May, which means my wife and I will be empty nesters. So that's a good thing.
yeah, man.
We'll be able to do whatever we want.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely, man.
I got actually, I have family up in Dallas, and I joined the Navy out of Killeen.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I got family everywhere. But yeah, man, I'm gonna come up there. We'll have to get together. Just break bread and just do things.
Yeah, man.
That's it's just part of what we're doing. Maybe I can help bring in some people to do what you're doing, because I mean, I'm really excited to see how, once you have the time to dedicate it full force.
Hmm.
I, I'm telling you right now, David, I'm going to see you on the TV. You already said it, right? You're going to be in arenas, and you're going to be in Fortune 500 companies. You're probably going to be doing some massive podcast on your own where you talk to business leaders throughout the country. Like, I, I'm telling you that there's no way you don't succeed. You have that part where it's going to be there, and anybody that decides to work with you, I mean, if you can't be successful working with you, then I do know that everybody has potential, but come on now, all you got to
Amen.
do is trust the process, right?
Trust the process, man. And one of my biggest things now, I'm working with a lot of veterans, a lot of people that's getting out of the Navy, whether they're 4 year, 10 year, even guys that's retiring out of the Chiefs mess. My biggest thing is we all go through TAPS class, we all do things that we need to do, but we have been suppressing that inner us for so long. There are people that we work with. I mean, woodworking, catering, teaching, all kinds of
Yep.
things that they want to do, and they don't know how to just let that niche go free. They don't know how to get it out. They don't know how to like say it and put it into words and translate over. So I'm working with a
Well,
lot of
because
people.
it's just a hobby for them, right? It's just
Mhm.
something I do on the weekends, and I really love doing it, and they don't realize things like that.
Yeah,
Well, that's a career, dude.
it's a career. I mean, you can build and monetize. You want people to pay you for your leadership, but at the same time, and I spoke on this. Like, we do what we do, but are you doing what you want to do?
Hmm.
Like have fun doing something, especially when you've already put your time in. You've already solidified your career, your retirement. All that. Let's go have some fun.
Yep.
Let's figure out how we're going to get you on the shelves if you're a writer. Let's figure out how to get you and your products at a big retail like a Walmart or a Target. There are tons of things that people can do if they just had a little bit of time to figure it out. So I'm working with those guys and girls, and we are really having some great mastermind sessions. We're having some great like just the time to talk and process something, teaching from a board, putting things up, putting it in a step and a sequence. And it's completely different from when they was in the Navy, but they understand the language.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yep.
Well, because when you get out, like, so this is what I found. So my wife, just one night, right? We're all watching TV, and me and my son, the men that we are, decided, yep, we'll watch TV with you tonight. And what did we do? Fell asleep, because that's what we do. We fall asleep. And she was just laying there. And my wife is a very good artist, like amazing artist. She told me she could draw when she was younger, and I was like, okay. Been married for 20 years this year, and as time goes on and the pandemic hits, right,
Mhm.
furlough and not working, she's like, I think I'm gonna draw again. And I was like, that's thinking you're gonna draw? I'm like, where has that, like, she's super talented.
Wow.
And so she started drawing on a sheet, right? So to your point, right, when you're coming out of the Navy, a lot of people are trying to the passion and the things that they have important to them, they try to figure out, how do I equate that to what I want to do going forward, right? So
Mhm.
I started doing real estate, and I did all the things I did coming out of the Navy because I really wanted to work for me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to work for somebody else. It's not a slight to people that want to go be in the corporate world and all of that, but I just was like, man, I the Navy taught me that I can bet on myself, right? I can
Yes.
bet on me.
Hmm.
Yeah. So she gives me this paper the next morning and goes to my son and I and goes, would you guys wear stuff like that? And I looked at this drawing and I was like, hell yeah, I'd wear that.
Hmm.
Because it spoke to me from a military perspective, right? Like that draw. And so my wife created we have a t-shirt company now,
Hmm.
and it's got your six culture, right? And so
Yeah.
for my wife's mind frame of it was, I want to create this t-shirt company because I'm a proud veteran spouse, right? My wife was in the Navy. We all know our spouses are in the military too.
Yep.
And she's like, I'm proud of that, but my wife also works in the medical field.
Mm.
So she's like, how many times do you see all these people all around are always supporting veterans, right? Which rightly they should. uh, Veterans sacrifice their life to serve the country, right? Or they take away things they could be doing in order to keep us free. But she's like, I really don't see a lot of people go, what about the police officers? What about the firefighters? What about the person sitting in the dispatch office? What about the
Mhm.
person that's a correctional officer? What about the nurses? What about the EMTs, right? So her company, she started it up so that she can make products along all those lines. Like she wants to pay respect and give shout outs basically to all those first responders, right? Like right now,
Yeah.
we ended whatever we've ended in the last 20 years of being in Iraq and Afghanistan, but there's a new battle. And the new battle was the pandemic. And in that pandemic battle, nurses sitting in a hospital taking care of people and making sure that they were well, no regard to them, right? Because they're
Mm.
around it. And so she's like, those people deserve, recognition too. So she started, and I'm like, that's a good idea. And so now, like, she's churning ideas out like crazy. And to your point, it's like, just put your head down and go.
I
Let's
gotta
just
go.
go. We'll figure it out.
Hmm.
It's not going to move super fast. I think sometimes we look at it and she's like, we've done pretty good so far, but it needs to be bigger. You know what I mean? And I keep
Yeah.
telling her, she's got to be patient. It'll get
Yeah.
there. But her
Gotta be
idea
patient.
was amazing, and we just ran with it. And
Hmm.
I told her, whatever I got to do to help you, I'm in. But it
Yeah.
just, I think a lot of people coming out of the military to that point, like you said earlier, of like, I want to be a carpenter, I want to be I can cook, or, um, whatever it is. Yeah, but I didn't do that in the Navy, and I don't know if I'd be good at it, and I don't know if I should do this, and I don't know if I should do that. And the self doubt that people have in their mind, despite the fact that they were sailors and taught, there is no try, there is no maybe, there is no if I
Right.
can. Like, we get it done. Like, you've always gotten it done as a sailor, a Marine, a soldier, whatever it is, you've always gotten it done. But now
Hmm.
when you need to do something that you want to
Right.
do, there's no way to do it. Like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. You're right. And to compound that self doubt is when you find yourself surrounded by negative people.
Yeah.
One of the things that I talk about heavy is who's talking you out of your dream, who's talking you out of doing what it is that you want to do. Hey, well, such and such tried that and it didn't work. Oh, well, no, you've been in the Navy all this time. I mean, just do Navy stuff. And then that compounds self doubt too, man. And
Mhm.
and if you're not careful, people will really talk you right into a ditch.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. And my son asks me about stuff like that sometimes, like he'll see stuff that's going on, or he hears things, being an 18-year-old kid, in high school. Just the different things that happen at school every day, even, and how people approach things and how they look at things. And my son is like, Dad, I'm just really confused. I don't know what's going on. And I'm
Right.
like, well, dude, you're in a little bit of a different boat than a lot of people. And
Mm.
the reason for that is you never lived in one place. You've always moved, but we moved to Dallas.
Yeah.
We're straight up with the Cowboys and we're rolling, right? Like these people have a certain outlook on life that live in Dallas. Dallas is just like the TV show Dallas. There's money up there, there's people that get things done, but there's a huge working class of people up there
Yeah.
that just work to get things done. It's get the job done. Dallas is a working class city.
Right.
And you've got Fort Worth that compounds that. And so like he got to meet people from all different backgrounds, right? Then we moved to South Florida. So now he met all these people that were from South America. He met people from Europe. He's met people, all these people are different than him. They
Mm.
they didn't grow up in New Orleans, right? Italian family, eating food, like the whole thing. So he's always made friends that, you know, in a normal situation, he probably would have never taken the time to talk to, right? Just
Hmm.
because of where you would have grown up.
Yeah.
And so his outlook on life is completely different. And so that's why I tell him you struggle sometimes to figure out why people do the things they do or what they say. Because even with us, right, in the Navy, I tell a lot of people being in the Navy or the military in general should be a blueprint to how like we can all work together. I
Mm.
mean, I come from Texas. You came from South Carolina. This other person was born and raised in El Salvador, and this person came to this country when he was younger from Europe or whatever. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different family values. We all have different cultural beliefs. But at the end of the day, guess what needs to happen? Ships got to get underway. The airplanes got to take off. People got to get into the military, and we have a goal to attain. So what we do is we work together and get it done.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter where you're from or who you are or what you look like or what you believe or any of that stuff. Like none of it matters. And so my son kind of grew up that way, right? A
Hmm.
lot of military kids grow up that way. So that's he's like, man, I'm confused. I'm like, don't be confused. You just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll go pretty far. You just have to understand that not everybody's going to see the world the way you do. You see
Right.
the world in a way of hope and possibility. You know what I mean? Like he's an optimistic person, and that's because he's had the opportunity to meet so many different people.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people not fortunate enough to do that. So that's where that self-doubt comes in. That's where a lot of those sailors that are getting out, they're in the E5 club or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of bad apples in there sometimes that decide that this isn't for them and they want to get out, and they're influential people, man. And they'll make you feel like being motivated and doing all those things aren't what you need to do. And so again, that's why I say I miss problems in the Navy, taking a young person that is on the wrong path and helping them change the course or direction or trajectory of what they're doing. You can't really do that out here. People don't want to listen.
Yeah.
But the difference in the Navy is people wanted to listen. They wanted to be better.
Hmm.
And you don't find that a lot out here. So, it's good that someone is going to actually offer the service going forward, right? To
Yeah.
give you an opportunity to be better and tell you that I don't care who you are, where you're from, or what you've done. If you want to be better, then let's get better,
Yeah.
right? It's just motivation, dude.
You're right, man. You're right. That's the way it is, man. And you gotta love it. When you offer the opportunity to fix something, um, a lot of people don't realize that somebody's already solved your problem. You got a problem, somebody's already solved it.
Hmm.
So if you're in the business of doing your quote unquote research, you are kind of just dragging the problem down the road when you got access to a person that's already solved that issue.
Yep, for sure. It's like when we were growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your parents would always tell you, "You ain't done nothing I haven't already done." We're like,
Yeah.
"Whatever. You're old. You didn't do stuff I did." And now I'm a parent going, "Son, there's nothing that you're going to tell me that
Yeah.
I haven't done already." And
Mm-hmm.
he's going, "Whatever, dude. You're old." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I know,
Like the
right? I
cycle
know.
repeats, man.
Yep.
It's there, but yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, man, it's I had a good time.
Yeah.
I'm really really just grateful that you came on to talk with me. I would love to talk to you again.
Mm-hmm.
Once the Brody Consultant is up and moving, and when you guys have some other ventures going on, because right now you're on the setup, right? you're on the trajectory to plan to get there to the full time route.
Yeah.
If you ever need anything, I'm a message, a phone call, an email, whatever away.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help in any way I can. But I appreciate it. I really do.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks, Lay. Thanks again for having me on. I definitely look forward to talking and working with you here in the future, man. Anything you need on my end too, I'm a phone call away, brother.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that could use your help. They work in the real estate industry, so you might be getting quite a few phone calls.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, man. Hey, I operate via Zoom. I do, I mean, virtual appointments. I have in-office appointments. I mean, I have a pretty busy office, and I mean, like I said, as long as we got this technology, man, we can make this thing work, man.
Yeah, so run down for me real quick right here at the end. Run down for me one, how people can get in touch with you, email, phone number, however you want to do it.
Mhm.
And then two, like what kind of like really what's the service? If you come in, this is what you're going to get from us.
Yeah. So to get in contact with me is very simple. You can, and I don't know, am I allowed to say my phone number? Because I have a business card.
Absolutely, if you want.
Yeah. Anybody can reach me at area code 817-507-7774. And if you go to brodyconsulting.com and you can just follow the links. I have very simple instructions on. If you want an initial consultation, a power hour, or if you want to get into my development program, which consists of office visits and accountability calls, also mastermind training to go along with the whole package that I offer. We pretty much get in, we develop, we train, we teach, we cry, we laugh, we do everything here at Brody Consult, man, and we have an awesome outlook on the future. I'm telling you, it is amazing service. It's something that I pride myself in training, learning. Everything that I do here is what I want to give back. So I read a lot of books. I have great coaches myself, and for that to translate over into giving it back to a consumer or a client is what we do and what we achieve. So brodyconsultant.com is real simple. You click on. I just left my phone number here and Brody Consultant on Facebook. I have a business page there too. And once you go to my website, you can go in. If you got a question, if you have something you want to say, you type into the box, and the email will come straight to my phone, and I'll do an immediate response back to you.
Perfect, man. Well, thank you again. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I can't wait to send it on out, and I'm waiting for the invite. I know the party's going to be massive.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Absolutely, man. Well, you have a great day, and again, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Have a good day.